Hey everyone, Arcade here to give you my 2 cents on a game my roommate said I had to review if I wanted meal privileges for the next week. Today, we take a look at Submerged. Let's talk about it. Submerged was released August 4th, 2015 for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. The story found in Submerged is pretty basic and easy to follow. It tells the terrifyingly terrible story of siblings Miku and Taku, who flee from their home after their father descends into alcoholism or whatever. Hey, you were just stabbed, right? That's not a big deal or anything. Daddy still loves you. Don't you think running away is a bit overdramatic? What'd you say? What about their mom? Oh, she's dead. So they arrive in this city almost entirely submerged in the ocean and decide to take refuge in a clock tower. The game then follows Miku as she explores the city and searches for supplies to aid her and her brother. It's straightforward and predictable, but it does well to give reason for exploring this post-apocalyptic world. Most of it is told through visual storytelling, and it can be easy to miss some minor details if you aren't actively searching for them. For example, the reason for the city and the rest of the world being flooded is explained. Spoiler alert, it's global warming. Go figure, but it's easy to miss if you don't go out of your way to pick up the collectibles scattered around the city. Personally, I sometimes like when games do this. It gives incentive to go out of your way to see what could be hidden around a turn you normally wouldn't take. Overall, the story in Submerged is average. Moving on to the presentation, this game is surprisingly beautiful for an almost 3-year-old title. That is, if you can play it on higher settings. I don't have any footage from the console version, and so far I've just been showing you guys the PC version with medium settings. But let me just change a couple of things here really quick. 1 second. Okay, and voila. See? This shit is surprisingly beautiful. I didn't expect Submerged to look this good going into it, and I was pleasantly surprised. This game has a tone of suspense and can make you somewhat uneasy with its dystopian and dreary setting, which is a sign of good world building, but it also feels somewhat optimistic and alive with its hints of life sprinkled throughout. I lost count of the amount of times I would stop and rotate my camera slowly because I was so entranced by the game's beauty. Some animations can be a bit stiff, but overall, the visuals are very well done, and one of the game's biggest strengths. The music is primarily composed of soft strings and gentle pianos that float and swell with one another. It's a game soundtrack I could easily see myself falling asleep to, simply because it's so relaxing and easy to get lost in. Have you ever had a sudden switch of emotion as you trail off on a random string of unrelated thoughts and ideas that aren't even logically feasible in the real world, and how these events would affect the future? Like, what if there was a sudden meteor that struck the Earth, but it ended up being made of nothing but Teddy Grahams, and by some miracle nobody died, so now everyone is given these rations of Teddy Grahams every month, and world hunger is no longer a problem. Buildings are now built from compressed Teddy Grahams, which are surprisingly durable. Cars run on Teddy Quid, which would be like melted down Teddy Grahams. Humanity comes together and decides to rename Earth Grahamville, and it becomes a galactic attraction that aliens travel light years just to see, etc., etc. And then you snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity, and realize you only thought those things because there's an emotional song playing in the background, and you were so entranced by it that it somehow influenced your thoughts. Did any of that make sense? No? What do you mean, no? Then why am I reading it? Who wrote this? Huh? Who wrote this? Who wrote this?
Insert name.
Who?
Insert name.
Who the hell is insert name?
I don't know. I was just reading the script you gave me. It says you pretend to get upset with the script someone wrote and ask who wrote it, to which I just reply, insert name. Why did you write this?
Cut it. You know what? Just cut it. Cut the tape. Cut the tape. I said cut the fuck. If you're looking for a game that has violence, gore, bloodshed, and pillaging, then Submerged might not be for you. There's no combat in the game whatsoever, and Miku can't actually be killed. That can turn some players off of this title, but it can just as easily attract more players for the same reason. Sometimes it's nice to sit back and relax and enjoy a well-constructed game world without fearing for your life. If that's something you enjoy as well, then look no further for your next game. If you couldn't tell already, Submerged is just as heavy on exploration as it is on visual storytelling. It's a simple cycle. You're told to find a supply for your brother, you get in your boat, navigate the city and survey its rooftops for supply drops, climb up said building, claim supplies, and repeat. As far as the controls are concerned, the game responds well enough. It isn't the most responsive or precise, but it gets the job done, and that's fine with me. Maneuvering your boat through the decaying city is enjoyable mainly for taking in the sights, but it can be a pain sometimes as you'll more than likely end up hitting an object you thought you could avoid. Climbing buildings was much more fun, if not a little lacking. It's essentially Assassin's Creed when it comes to these sections. You climb tangled vines, slide down drainage pipes, and shimmy across platforms no real person could actually stand on in order to reach the rooftops of this city. That's fun and all, but the controls in this section leave a bit to be desired. There wasn't enough variance in these climbing sections to challenge me, which I couldn't help but feel a bit let down by. Altogether, I'd say the gameplay is decent. Alright, so what's the verdict? You're going to get what you put into Submerged. Rush through it if you want, no one's going to stop you. Except the government. But by rushing this game, you miss the whole point and appeal of this hidden gem. Take your time, explore, look for hidden secrets and vantage points. Get lost in this game world. It's beautiful, embrace that shit. Submerged is just as infectious as the sea mold found within its world. It isn't perfect by any means, but it's a game that I thoroughly enjoyed, and a game I can safely recommend as definitely worth full price. So that was my 2 cents on Submerged. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did and want to see more reviews like this every week, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to recommend a game for me to review, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.